Okay, welcome to the Challenge 1 second semester orientation YouTube video that I am taping in my car in the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot. I feel real embarrassed about this, but I think it will be handy. I am the kind of person, I'm very auditory. And so sometimes the guide feels a little bit like it's written in a foreign language to me, and it's really overwhelming. So something like this is really beneficial for me. So hopefully this will be beneficial for you and will save you a little bit of time as you prep for second semester. What was I gonna say? Oh, well, of course, I'm immediately blanking out as soon as I've pushed the record button. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me. So I'm just going to jump into this. I hope this is helpful. I hope it's not too annoying to watch. I do feel really embarrassed about all the people watching me talk to myself, but hopefully it's not too embarrassing on your end. So I want to talk about a couple of things that I plan to send out. I have a cost of living packet that I plan to send out to you all, and hopefully to have it printed. Also a research paper packet that I plan to send out. Then I have a lot of this information that I'm going to be sharing with you guys in kind of like a document form that I plan on sending out. So you should hopefully get those things from me in the next few days. Also, I haven't quite found one that I like yet, but I'm working on making like an adjusted timeline. I talked to the kids about this, but a lot of Challenge 1 directors will do like an adjusted timeline of when they make things due, because second semester is very project heavy, especially gosh, I can't remember. There's just several that are due like on week 14, and we probably will just adjust that a little bit because they also incorporate some presentations. But I don't plan on adjusting like the guide at all. I plan on offering this adjusted timeline kind of as a tool for you guys. I liked when I heard one director say this semester or this year, one of the things that CC does on purpose is makes all these things due at once so that they can really have the opportunity and the experience of practicing time management and knowing, I've got all of this due at this one point at the end of the semester, and I can't wait till week 13 to do it, or I can, and I'm going to pay the cost. So I plan on providing a adjusted timeline for semester 2, but that would just be more as a tool to help you guys with your student and their time management to prepare for all of those things being due at once. So a couple of things I want to point out. The snapshot for second semester is on page 37. That is really nice because it's not only the projects, but it's a lot of just like the weekly work. It's got the essays and what novels are due. So that is something that I do consistently keep on our fridge. It's really helpful for me with directing, but also just helpful for me with Elliot and making sure that I'm not losing track of anything. So that is a good thing. It's on page 37. You can look that over to get a good grasp of what's coming second semester. And also just a good resource to keep out in like a very visual place, a visible place where that you can reference it easily. Also on page 171, there is a quick reference for all the rhetorical assignments specifically. This is a very handy, just little quick reference where you can see everything kind of all in one. It's just a real tiny little spot, but that's really helpful too. So I'm just going to kind of go through strand by strand and give you a little picture of what's coming second semester. So logic or math is business as usual. Just whatever you're doing, continue to do it. I might try to, I'm thinking about incorporating the math map thing that CC has put out. I've heard good things about it so far. And we are definitely growing a lot in our math discussions, but it is something that I would really like to see our class time utilized a little more fruitfully. I don't know, fruitful. I don't know. I would like to see that time just produce more fruit. So I might try that, but for the most part, at home, it's just business as usual. Also, grammar is business as usual. Nothing's changing. Same book. It is continuing to get more difficult. And truthfully, towards the end of the semester, it was a lot of blank stares. So I have known about Jam with Latin. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about it. I'm going to look into it over break. That's something that I might pursue for myself, because as much as they have blank stares, I am a little bit like, wow, this is getting heavy. And not that we have to have mastery. We don't, but I think we need to attain enough or retain enough knowledge about the topic to be able to engage in it. And it was starting to get to where that was getting a little bit difficult. So I'm going to look into that. I believe Jam with Latin is like, I think it's they have a price, but I also think it's like, if you can't afford it, let us know. And then it's like, pay us what you can. At least that's what I've heard. So this is something that I will follow up with you guys on. I think I will very likely pursue it, just because I need a little bit of extra help. But other than that, business as usual. And I forgot to say, I'm going to also kind of go through what's due for week 1. So with logic, what's due for week 1 is just 4 lessons, but of course you are welcome to do more than that. I think most of the kids are behind, so it's a good chance to catch up. And then also for week 1 for grammar, it's nothing especially out of the ordinary. It's just some lessons and some exercises. So I will follow up with you all about Jam with Latin, and I will let you know about what I find out about that. So moving on to debate, we continue on in team policy. There are a couple of things for the actual team policy debate portion of that strand. So we discussed in class on week 15 what resolution or what topic they might like to do a debate on. They were all really interested in the draft, and I thought that might actually be a good one to kind of think through and have some good discussions about. So I think that's what we're going to do. Now, I haven't completely finalized or figured out what the language about this will be, because there seems to be several components. CC, on page 234, CC has it listed as a complexity level 1, which is to where there's only 2 sides of it, but I can kind of think of some ways that can vary. So I'm going to do some more research and really finalize the language at the beginning of the semester so that they know what they're doing. But in the meantime, it won't hurt them at all to just go ahead and research, start learning about the draft. What is the status quo? What is the state of the draft in our country right now? And then also just arguments for and against implementing a draft. So they can go ahead and start doing that. The 1AC for that is due on week 6. So it would be good to go ahead and get started, and for them to go ahead and start becoming well-versed in this topic. Additionally, they have an individual event. We talked a little bit about this on week 15, and the information pages on this are on page 238 and 239. Now, this needs to be a published work, some kind of published piece, like from a play, from a novel. Cooper did Atticus Finch's, what do you call it? Closing arguments from To Kill a Mockingbird. It needs to be between, I think it needs to be between 3 and 5 minutes. Shoot. I'm pretty sure it needs to be between 3 and 5 minutes. If I'm incorrect about that, I will follow up with you about that. And that is due on week 4. So that is something, both of those things are things they could be working on over break, like reading about the death penalty and gathering articles for and against it. And then also picking an individual event piece and even begin memorizing it. So in addition to team policy, we're moving away from the American documents, which was so fun. And I'm actually kind of sad about moving away from it because it just ended up being a really good source of discussion, and I just love history. But now we are moving into economics, which will also be good. So for everything else up until this point, we're using the books that we have so far in class, but for economics, you will need the Blue Stocking Guide book, the Whatever Happened to Penny Candy book, and Money Mystery. So if you don't already have those, you want to try to get your hands on those over break. There are 2 big projects for this. So each week they will have some reading and the weekly work for these big projects are something that they're going to be participating in throughout the whole semester. So one of the projects is the stock market venture. There's a really quick rundown on this on page 229 in the guide. That would be good for you to read it. Again, it's just like a short paragraph, but it gives you a nice little quick overview of that project. Lots of directors do like an online game, and I remember Cooper doing this, but truthfully, I was like pretty checked out on it because he was enjoying it and just doing well with it. So I'm gonna find out about that. Technology is not my strong suit, but I'm sure that I can figure it out. But if any of you are like, oh, I love to be on the internet. I mean, I suppose I do love to be on the internet. But anyway, if any of you are like, hey, I would love to run that, let me know. That would be great. But I'm looking into that. So this is just like where they have a certain amount of money and they can, it's imaginary money, but they invest it in different stocks. It has to be up 1. They have to do at least 1, and it can be up to 10. And they can break their money down and invest it into different stocks. And then at the end, they do like a final presentation about everything, just basically how it went. So the rules for this project, or just not even the rules, but like essentially the parameters and the boundaries for this project, and I guess kind of the rules, are on page 232. And they could start looking into this over break too, like researching stocks and trying to figure out what ones they want to invest in. If, I want everybody to get a break, but if that is like a fun thing, and, go for it. Also on week 14, this is one of the projects, the stock market venture, they will have essentially a presentation on just how it went. So at the bottom of 232, which is also where the rules are, there's like a little, it's super short, just a little like, here's what the project entails. Here's what the presentation entails. So a lot of these presentations additionally and projects additionally have a lot of leeway. This is a lot of what do you want to present? What do you want to talk about? There are some parameters and some things that need to be included, but the kids are really going to have a big opportunity to present lots of information second semester. So I think that will be good. I think that's an area that we need to grow in as well. The second project for the economics portion of the debate strand is the cost of living project. And there's a short little overview about that on page 229 as well. So both of those projects, there's some little quick reference information on 229. And then the cost of living for like in greater detail is on 230 and 231. So that is just where they essentially like pick a job and they have to find out how much money does this profession make, and they have to pick a place to live, and they have to, essentially figure out if they can live, if they can allot their money properly and be able to live off of their income. There will be a little packet that I'm going to send out for this. I just want to do a little bit of editing to it before I do that. So that again, they have a presentation that they will present this project. And there's information about this presentation on the bottom of 231. And so really, those two things are basically what we're going to be learning about and reading about and working towards on week 14 of second semester. So for week 1, for the debate strand, again, they can go ahead and start reading about the resolution or about the debate topic that we've chosen, since I haven't officially settled on a resolution. And they can start memorizing and preparing for the individual event for the team policy portion of debate. And then for economics, they're supposed to bring a stock report to week 1. And there are some discussion prompts in the guide for you to go through with your student. And there are also some questions on page 9 in the blue stocking guide. And the guide is really specific about these being answered and brought to class. So they will need to actually like record their answers, whether it's typed or handwritten. And it also specifies like multiple answer, not like a full-blown or multiple sentences. So not like a full-blown essay, but just like, this is not just like a one-word answer discussion with your mom. They actually want you to record their answers and bring them to class. Okay. So for exposition, this is just a subtle change. We're continuing on with LTW, but they are adding, so continuing on with novel reading and our persuasive essays, but they have incorporated comparison essays into second semester. So I believe, I'm really having a hard time. I'll tell you, this is me being really honest. Sometimes the guide is so frustratingly confusing. I believe there's 2. The first one I'm very confident in is due on week 10. And so just in preparation for like if there's any scaling that will be happening, the first essay is on the comparing the novel, I want to make sure I say it right. The narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass is the first one, and then to the novel of Up From Slavery. So if you were going to scale your students' reading or anything like that, it would be important if you want them to do the comparison essay, which I think would be good since we haven't done it before, to make sure that they read those 2 novels and neither one of those gets scaled out. So the information for the comparison essay is on 210 in the exposition appendix. And there is also an outline for the comparison essay. And of course, we'll talk about this in class, but there's an outline on page 211, and there's a sample essay, a sample comparison essay on 212 and 213. All of this is in the exposition appendix. So that's really it, just some slight changes there. And then for semester 1, or for semester 2, for week 1, they need to have To Kill a Mockingbird completed. And I did want to mention, so I kind of blew it at the end of last semester with the novels. I don't know what happened. I just got so mixed up. But anyway, I did not emphasize much about reading the novel Harvey. In fact, we never even had a class discussion about it, which was hard because a lot of those novels that weren't the essay novels, a lot of those got, and I get it. There were a couple that Elliot didn't read either. And so that makes sense. But Harvey was one of the ones that there wasn't an essay on, but but there is a lot of emphasis put on that because it's actually a play. And so it's kind of like a good way for them to get used to reading a play instead of just reading a novel, since second semester we are reading, I'm jumping ahead here, Taming the Shrew. The Taming of the Shrew, for reasoning. So if you're just looking for like, what can I do? What can I make my kid do all day now that there's only 1 week left or 1 week worth of work? That's another thing. Like if they didn't read Harvey, that would be a good one to revisit if you weren't able to incorporate that. So that's a good segue into our next strand is reasoning. And we are just like full swing in reasoning. So last year and then this year we have done formal logic and then now we are just doing Shakespeare. So second semester of logic is all about Shakespeare. We will be reading The Taming of the Shrew and just having some general Shakespeare exposure. And also there's a portion of it that is focused on from Genesis 24. So that's the content for the reasoning strand for second semester. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. They really love to put on those little plays that we do sometimes for Latin. So I'm hoping that they're going to love this. So we'll be reading and even like acting out The Taming of the Shrew. And there is a big final project for this strand as well that is also due on week 14. And that the information on that is on page 201. So this is something, depending on how you feel about it. Sorry, I'm playing with my hair so much, it's driving me crazy. It just looks so flat. Anyway, sorry. If some of the project ideas, it does seem like would be pretty important to have been into the content of just Shakespeare and Taming of the Shrew, so it would be kind of hard. But some of them are just like, one of the options is build a model of the Globe Theater, which is the theater that a lot of his plays were put on. And that's something that you could do over Christmas break. Like, this is something I said to them. You know, nobody wants to do a bunch of hard work over Christmas break, but that's kind of fun. Like, just building something, and, you know, that's kind of mindless and creative. So that would be a good thing to do over break. And there's several options of projects that you can do. Now, like I said, some of them, it seems to me like it would be a little bit more important to already be into the content of just Shakespeare, and specifically reading The Taming of the Shrew, and it might not make much sense, but I will leave that to your discretion. Again, those projects are on page 201. There are some discussion questions on page 203 that you will go through with your student about Genesis 24, but that's a little bit further into the semester. But if you want to look at that, those are on page 203. So for week 1 in reasoning, there is some introductory reading in The Taming of the Shrew, and there are also some discussion prompts that you for you to have a discussion with your student. And I think that's a great way to spend our time over break, just actually talking to these kids and seeing the way they think and helping lead them in the way they think. So that's all for reasoning for week 1. And that's just the basic overview for the reasoning strand. The last strand is research. And again, it's kind of business as usual with research. We're continuing on in our physical science book, but we are adding in a 10 to 15 page research paper. So it's a lot of fun. And again, it's due on week 14. So, week 14. Week 14 is going to be a doozy. So I will send out a packet about this as well. I intend to, the method that they want us to use for this is the note card method, and there's information about that in your appendix. In fact, all of the appendix information on the research paper is on page 190 to 195, and it's very helpful. So I will be presenting this note card method on how to do this research paper. I did use Andrew Pudewa's super essay with Cooper, and I think it's brilliant, and I don't know why they don't do it. So I will be doing both in class so as to stick to the guide and make sure I'm presenting it the way I'm supposed to. And the note card method is helpful, but I think that combining those two will be really beneficial, and it will make this somewhat rather daunting task much more manageable. So they are supposed to choose their topic over break. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Oh no. Okay. Sorry. I think my car battery might be dead. I left my heater on for a long portion of this. So, you know, if you watch this and nobody's heard from me in a while, maybe send help. Anyway, I think a good place to start, I was listening to somebody talk about this, And she was basically saying, like, pick an easy topic, not because you don't want to challenge your student, but this 10-page paper is already super challenging. 10 to 15-page paper is already super challenging. And so just pick something that there's like a lot of information about, and that, you know, not something super obscure or something that like there's not definitive concrete information about. You just want them to have like a wealth of knowledge to pull from. Because structuring it and putting it all together in this 10 to 15 page paper is going to be complicated enough. So I would encourage you in that to try to pick something kind of easy. I mean, I don't, just something that there's a lot of information about, that's not complicated. A good place to start on this is to, for them to think through maybe what were some of the things that we studied about in Challenge A or Challenge B, or even so far this year in our physical science book. What have been the topics that they thought, that was interesting, I would like to learn more about that. So if you have any questions about that, or if I could give any like feedback about their topic, I would be glad to. In addition to picking something kind of easy, this can be like a very broad topic or something very finite. Like I, again, told the kids on week 15 that Cooper did, I think he did weather. And then he did part of his essay on tornadoes and part of his essay on hurricanes, and part of his essay on lightning. So he could do that broad topic of weather, or he could have written an entire 15-page paper on tornadoes, or an entire 15-page paper on lightning. So it can be very broad, or it can, and I think potentially picking something more broad might be easier, but I don't know. Maybe that's not fair to say. But it could also be something very, very focused, like, oh, well, I'm thinking on the fly here. But like I said, like tornadoes, very specific, or even just like the way a tornado works, or how the science of the inside of a tornado. So, but whatever they pick, you want to make sure that there is just like a wealth of knowledge available to them. So for week 1, I did want to point out that we're supposed to read module 15. And so like when I first looked at this, when I was just trying to figure out how to map out Elliot getting all that work for week 1 done, I was like, oh my gosh, are we supposed to do a module each week over break? Because that's exactly how much the break is. But we're not. Whew. We're jumping ahead to read module 15 over the break, because module 15 specifically kind of talks a little bit more about the idea of research. So we're doing that. We jump to module 15, and then on week 2 or week 3, I can't remember if they give you 2 weeks for module 15, but we jump back to module 9 where we left off. So for week 1, they need to have module 15 read. They need to there's some discussion prompts in the guide for you and them, and they need to choose a topic. So they need to come to class on week 1 with a topic chosen. In addition, they could go ahead and start researching that topic. That would be a good way for them to utilize their time. So again, so that's all the strands. Those are all the switches. I believe the only books that are changing, again, are reasoning and the economics for debate. So if you don't have those economic books, or you don't have Taming the Shrew, now would be the time to get them. So just a quick sum up, in addition to week 1, so they need to have all that work for week 1 in the guide done and completed for class when we come back to class. But if you're looking for extra work, they could go ahead and start memorizing their IE. I'm recapping. I said all of this already. You could have them pick and start memorizing their individual event, their IE that's due on week 4. They could start researching the debate topic, or they could start researching their research paper topic. They could read ahead in novels. That will really help. We're reading so many good novels, and I'm just afraid that that's going to get put on the back burner just because something's got to. So reading ahead would be a good way. They could start reading The Taming of the Shrew. They could start on their Shakespeare project. And also, this is not working ahead, but they could also read Harvey if they didn't read that already. And those would be some good things to do over the break to sort of get ahead. Lastly, several of you have given me protocol ideas, and I really appreciate that. I have not given it 1 ounce of thought, and I really need to. So I intend to do that over break as well. But if anyone is interested in helping me plan protocol, or if anybody just wants to plan protocol, or just if you have any ideas, yeah, let me know. And then also if anybody thinks it seems like a lot of fun to set up the economics, like the stock market game, let me know about that too. So I am sitting right at about 30 minutes. I'm really sorry. I did not want this to be that long, but I am sure not gonna redo it. So I hope you guys are having a good break, and I hope that you're resting a lot and that you're enjoying your children, and that that we all will utilize this time to just really remember why we're even doing this. You know, like, what is the point of everything that we are doing if we grow up with kids that just can hardly stand to be around us because we were tyrannical monsters about their school? So I have been feeling convicted about that. I just really want to find a way to be faithful to all of this that's coming up second semester, but also making it secondary to just all of my kids, but make it secondary to my daughter's heart, and just and her growing in her faith, and yeah. So I'm praying for all of us over this break. I'm praying for your kids, and I'm praying for our campus, and I love you all, and I'm so appreciative for just how supportive and wonderful you are. And yeah, I guess that's it. I'm signing out. Oh no. Okay. My battery's about to die, so it's perfect timing. So I'm signing out. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, or just if you need feedback on projects, or just anything that you need. Yeah. I will hopefully see y'all at some point over break. Bye.